Good afternoon. Is everyone full? Yes. So you probably can't think about food right now, but we are going to have some refreshments when we're done with this session downstairs in the fellowship hall. If you have littles that are not in adventurers, the Pathfinders are providing childcare right now in the primary room. Since Pastor Bill is not with his wife Dorina today, we wanted to give you a quick thank you, and to her as well. An Olive Garden gift card, because I heard from Darren and Susan, his brother-in-law and sister-in-law, that's one of her favorites. So, Pastor Bill, everyone.
Thank you, Erica. And I think one of the most important things in life is being intentional. Life goes where you focus. You're not going to get where you want to go unless you set a course, right? Compass heading, a direction. And so that's why I appreciate so much where hearing Erica talk about how the Pathfinders helping out, the whole church cooperating together to nurture relationships. Because there's a lot in the world that is pulling us apart. And so being intentional about protecting and feeding relationships to me is really important, and I really appreciate it. I've had so much fun getting to spend time with you, and I feel really bad that I have to head to the airport. Somebody from our office, the HR person, his father passed away, and I have to fly to represent the conference. This came at the last moment. I have to fly to represent the conference at his funeral, to be there with the family. So let's pray again. Father, would you guide our conversation? Would Jesus be lifted up? And would you give us hope? And would you heal our hearts? And would you teach us how to build bridges? Amen. So there was a couple who got together. They really enjoyed hiking. They had a lot of similar interests. They got married. And his job, they were both attorneys. His job required him to travel a fair bit for work. Not all the time, but he had to be gone some. And her job, she actually worked from home, and she did legal research at home. So they were, things were going pretty well, but when he was gone, she would get very lonely. She didn't like being in the house by herself. And so she said, "We need a dog." And he said, "Nah, we don't want a dog because we can't go spontaneously just get away. If we have a dog, we'll have to arrange care, and it'll be a big issue, and we'll have to walk the dog, and no, we don't want a dog." And he had all his logical reasons, but she had her loneliness, that she wanted a dog for when he had to be gone and she wasn't by herself. She wanted another heartbeat in the house. Can you see both of their points of view? And she kept pressuring, "We need a dog, we need a dog." And he kept saying, "No, I don't want a dog." Until finally, she decided to get him a puppy for his birthday.
Well played.
Well, how do you think he might feel having her do that when he never agreed to it, and he had said no, and so she just got it for his birthday? Surprise, happy birthday. How do you think he felt? Surprised, betrayed, manipulated, trapped, not heard. Yeah. So the dog, he ended up taking the dog for walks, to go to the bath. He ended up doing that. He resented it. And the last straw was when the dog, he had a home office, and the dog had an accident and left a pile in his home office. He moved out. They divorced. And when the realtors came to sell the house, the pile was still there in the home office. Here was a couple who had a lot in common, who enjoyed doing a lot of things together. Was it really about the dog? So much more, right? It was about feeling heard and understood. It was about how do we handle power, decision making. There were a lot of issues involved like that. So, in Isaiah chapter 61, to me is a really, really important passage. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners." Jesus came to bring healing and hope and light and to lift us, didn't he? It says this also, "To comfort all who mourn, to provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them the crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair." Jesus came to bring those things. "They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor." And then there's this verse that hits me like a ton of bricks. "They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations." One of the things as Christians, this verse says as a prophecy, that we will rebuild ancient ruins that have been devastated for generations. I told you about how in my family, the men with anger issues and children, they passed on to their children father wounds. And I know I'm not the only one who has lived that story. But God calls us to rebuild the ancient ruins, to restore the places long devastated. He wants to do that in our lives. Renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. And then this, instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion. God wants to do that. And so the issue is, why do we struggle so much with this? We struggle so much. So I have a metaphor. My mind works with metaphors. How dry does this sponge look? Okay. No matter how hard I squeeze, am I going to get any water out of this sponge? None at all. I told you about hugging my dad, because he wasn't hugged. He was abandoned. His father was beaten by his father. Never got hugged, I don't think. My great-grandfather, here's the family story about my great-grandfather. This tells you about the story of the men in the Roberts family. One of my great-uncles was helping his mother set the table, and he spilled a platter of food on the floor. My great-grandfather made him clean it up off the floor with his mouth. That's the line of men I come from. They will rebuild the ancient ruins, the places devastated for generations. So with my dad, when I would hug him and he would literally groan, and it was like hugging a tree, his arms at his side, until finally, as he grew and we grew together, as our relationship healed together, he stopped groaning, and then about the last 2 years of his life, he died at 88. So about 86, when I would hug him, I would get 2 pats. And that was immense. That was what he had to give. So here's the metaphor. You're telling me I can't get any water out of this sponge, right? What's the difference? What's the difference? It's full. It got filled. How do you get out what wasn't put in? We can't just expect people do better. We've got to offer tools, encouragement, support, training, mentoring, healing. There's so many things. As a pastor, I got really tired of couples in my church would come and talk to me, and they'd say, we're maritally struggling, and I'd say, okay, I need to get you in counseling. So I would support them, but I would get them in counseling. Counseling is really good. I did 5 years of it. The challenge with counseling, when it's bad enough that people come for help, the challenge with counseling is you go for once a week, 50 minutes. It takes a long time to have a breakthrough when you're going once a week for 50 minutes. That's if people have insurance, because at $200 an hour, not everybody can go. You know what I'm saying? So it meant a lot to me when I found a workshop that I went to, and there have been 2 times where there were pastors that were, one of them, the pastor had moved out and said, I can't live with her. And they were going to divorce. The other one was where I knew the month pastor's wife was going to give divorce papers. In both cases, we send them this workshop where counseling, like I said, 50 minutes. Here they went for a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And what happened is they were able to have a breakthrough. One of those stories, 17 years later, the marriage is still going. The other, 6 years later, the marriage is still going. Let me tell you this. Do you know how hard it is when someone is ready to file, particularly when women are done, they're usually done. It's very hard to get, what do they do, where those paddles where they shock people in to get their heart going again? It's very hard to do that, but that's one reason it meant so much to me, this workshop, because I've actually seen it. I've actually seen couples where they were ready to, it was done, and then they went. I've also seen couples, one friend of mine went, I kept telling him about this thing and how it was helping people, and he got annoyed with me, and he said, he would go home and tell his wife, what does Bill think is wrong with me? Why does he keep telling me about this thing? And so you know what he did, that character? He sent his wife. And she went, and when she went to this thing, she's a wonderful lady and they have a really good marriage. But all of us have scar tissue in life, right? And there were certain things she couldn't talk about. There were walls. She comes back. The first night they're back, he said they went to bed and they talked all night. They were just talking. They looked out, and it was broad daylight. They had to get the kids off to school. They had talked all night. He came in the office the next morning, and he said, I just signed up. And he said, it took our good marriage and made it a great marriage, because it was about tools to open up the heart and tools to connect, to heal from things. And so I've sent 64 pastors and 107 lay people to it because it helped so much. So one example of something we can do to enhance and heal marriages is things like that workshop. I've gone to 2 major workshops. One was in Seattle. It's called the Story Workshop. What story is God writing in your life? And it was really helpful. It was really good. The other one I went to was called Foundations. Life-changing for me. Are any of you kind of surprised how open I'm able to be? Does that surprise you a little bit? The reason I can be that is because I went to that workshop. And I'm not saying everybody who goes will be like that, but what it did was it taught me I have a story, and I don't need to be ashamed of it. What I want to focus on is what direction am I heading. So, one of the big things is dipping the sponge is, of course, the devotional life, spending time with Jesus. I pray over relational things in my life, in my devotional, in my prayer journal all the time. All the time I'm dipping myself. I'm dipping this proud, hard heart in Jesus. And I'm saying, I need you. I need you. Reading books. I had a bunch of books. Books can be really, really helpful. You can learn a ton from reading books. Counseling. I did 5 years of it. I value it tremendously. Being in healthy community. We all need people who ask us the tough questions. We need people who we give permission to give us honest feedback. We're not really healthy in our culture about really giving honest feedback. We'll tell others what we think of someone, but we won't give honest, kind-hearted feedback. Having mentors. I really think it's important in churches where you have people who will obviously are very discreet and private, but when someone is struggling, here's someone you can talk to, or you can talk to someone else and receive mentoring. Having prayer partners, being parts of small groups. All this is about connection, and relationships are everything about connection. And then, of course, I mentioned the workshops. And then one of the biggest thing I think is gaining tools. That's where books come in, workshops, gaining tools. So I want to demonstrate a tool for you that is really, really helpful. And first of all, I have to tell you a story. I was doing pre-marriage counseling with a couple, and we were almost done. And I was going to travel 3 states over to do their wedding, and they came in my office for a pre-marriage counseling session, and they were really upset with each other. How quick, if you're around a couple you know pretty well, how quick can you sense when they're upset on a scale of 1 to 10 about they're a 9 or a 10? How quick could you sense that? I felt it. They walked in, they weren't looking at me, they weren't looking at each other, and they sat down, and here was that. Now, when I demonstrate the wife's body language, I'm not making fun. I'm trying to tell you a story and give you a picture of what was going on. Here's the wife's body language. He's sitting here. Hips rotated away, shoulders rotated away, looking the other way, arms folded, legs crossed. Okay, ladies, what is her body language communicating? Tell me. Closed up? What? Don't talk to me. What else? What is her body language communicating? She's upset? I don't want to look at you. Is kissing and making up going to work in that situation? Don't touch me, right? And they were scared. Their wedding was 3 weeks off. The cake had been ordered, the dress had been bought. I mean, all kinds of people had tickets to travel to be at the wedding, and this couple had dated 5 years. They'd gone to, by the way, I have their permission to tell this story. They said, as long as you don't use our name, if our story can help other people. They had dated 5 years. They went to different colleges. They made it 5 years dating while they were getting school and developing their careers. They even broke up and got back together. I mean, these couple really loved each other. I was in the hospital when his dad was so sick. He survived it, but he was so sick. And I was in the hospital praying with them, and he was just hurt because he loved his dad. And I watched her come over and just sit on his lap and put her arms around him. And this couple really, really loved each other. But they walk in the office, and that was her body language. Here's his. And he looked at me like this. Okay, men, interpret the body language. What is his body language telling us? What else? Men, what is his body language communicating? He's don't know what to do, defeated, what? Regret. Yeah, depleted, yeah. He was, does he have much hope? No, no. If you were married, you'd say, I hope you have a comfortable couch. So, I said to them, can we try something? No words, just. And I taught them an exercise. And it's an exercise that the principle of it come from the Bible. Proverbs 18, verse 2. A fool does not delight in understanding, but in airing their own opinions. What does that mean? A fool does not delight in understanding, but in airing their own opinions. What does that mean? Yeah. Here's the thing. She had called him. Their wedding was coming soon. She had called him. He was with his uncle and his dad. They were doing, I don't know if they were dropping the engine. I don't know what they were doing. But he was doing something where he couldn't talk. But he saw it was her. He wanted to make sure she was okay, so he answered the phone. She wanted to talk with him. He said, honey, I love you. I can't talk right now. And for some reason, on that day, she felt like she should be more important than whatever he was doing. And so she said, but I need to talk. And he said, honey, I can't talk. I'm really sorry. I've got to go. And so when they got back together, she was trying to tell him how hurt she was that she was not the most important thing on his list that day, that he couldn't talk with her. And he was frustrated with her because she didn't accept his valid reasons in his mind for why he couldn't talk. And so he tried to do something. Please, gentlemen, don't ever try to do this. Don't ever, with logic, tell a woman she shouldn't feel what she's feeling. That's a fool's errand. You will crash and burn. It will not work. You'll just spin the tires and dig deeper. So they came in my office, and they were upset each other. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably a 9.5. It was bad. So I had them sit in chairs. Does the Bible say we should talk to each other? Malachi chapter 3, verse 16. Then those who feared the Lord talked with each other, and the Lord listened and heard. Did you know God listens when you talk to your wife and your husband? God listens. He's a witness. A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence. God takes notes concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. In other words, don't worry. It's okay that we're struggling through things. But the important thing is we're looking towards each other and we have an open heart and we're trying to build a bridge from where we are to where they are. That's the important part. Those who feared the Lord talked with each other. Now, we talked about the turtle and the skunk. Sometimes you need to make an appointment. You need to wait till everybody's ready, but it's important to communicate. So, what I'm going to do, and this is what I've learned, we remember 10% of what we hear. Pastors hate that statistic. But we remember 60% of what we experience. I want you to experience this. Would you come up? I have a wonderful couple here who are going to, using this tool, they're going to process a situation so you can demonstrate. And this is what this will do is because you're seeing a real life situation, after a while you'll forget that we're teaching a tool because you'll become interested in the story and what they're saying and how they're, and so you'll remember it. So when you have an opportunity to do this with someone in your life, you will be able to. I've done this with couples. Every couple I do pre-marriage counseling, I teach them this, and I've actually done this with conference vice presidents and pastors who didn't like each other. I had a school board chairman and a principal of a school. The school board chairman disliked the principal so much, they wanted to put him on probation, which would go in his file and really hurt his career. I asked him to come to my office. We sat and we used this tool of communicating, and they actually became friends. They actually became friends. With this couple, as we used this tool, it took an hour because they were really upset, but they left my office holding hands. And I drove 3 states over 3 weeks later, did their wedding, and it was a wonderful wedding. They did a dance at the wedding reception called Boot, Scoot, and Boogie. Have you ever heard that? It was really fun. Boot, Scoot, and Boogie. And it was quite fun. So here's how it works. What I want you first to do is one of you just briefly give us a thumbnail sketch of what the situation was, and then we're going to process it. What was the situation we're going to process?
So the situation was Holly and I were on a road trip together. Full of traffic, was going 10 to 15 over, and I'm a flow of traffic kind of guy. And Holly expressed to me that she would prefer that I go the speed limit for safety, and that's kind of where our a 5 over at the max, and that's kind of where our lengthy conversation stemmed from.
Okay. Can you get the scenario, right? Different points of view. So, okay, so the way this works is I'm going to use this water bottle. Whoever has the water bottle has the floor. So what we're going to do, in just a few minutes, I'm going to have you start in talking about that situation. So what I want you to do, though, is, for example, who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, you'll go first. All right. So the person who has the floor, what I want you to do is you will just talk to Holly about how you feel and anything you want to say about that situation. But I want you to not do maybe more than 4 sentences, a shorter speech, because what I'm going to have you do, Holly, is say, what I hear you saying is. Now, you're not going to parrot it, and you're not going to interpret it. You're going to reflect it. So as close in meaning as you can, reflect back what you hear him saying. Here's what it does. I'm going to tell you the secret of this. There's a part of our brain that listens to respond. Have you ever had someone listening, they're not really listening, they're waiting for their turn to talk? Listening to respond. Do you like it when people listen to respond? No. Can you tell if someone's listening to respond? Yeah. So what this does, the fact that you're Holly are going to repeat back, remind me your first name.
Marcus.
Marcus. The fact you're going to repeat back what Marcus is saying means it shuts off that part of your brain, and you're going to be really listening. Here's the secret sauce of this. It is so compelling to be listened to. I have had, more times than I can count, I've had couples sit in my office doing this exercise, and they have a breakthrough where all of a sudden they connect an idea and they're like, oh, that's what you... I had one lady turn to me and say, I never knew how my husband's brain worked before. Literally. They had 3 kids. We are not taught to really listen to each other. It is so powerful to be listened. We have such a craving to be understood that it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. So the thing is, both of you will get a chance to talk. You go first, say whatever you want, and at first, when he has the floor, you just reflect back. This is what I hear you saying is, and then Then we'll switch after several speeches, and then we'll switch, and then you'll be in the role where you're reflecting. Here's the thing. If you hear him say a word that conveys, like, this was frustrating, or this hurt me, or I was angry, or whatever, if a person reveals a word that has emotion, make sure what I hear you saying is, that was hurtful, or that really frustrated you. Okay, go ahead.
So I guess from that situation, I felt maybe a little bit mistrusted because I wanted to prioritize your safety by going with the flow of traffic. And I think in that moment, probably that was the biggest emotion I was experiencing.
So what I hear you saying is?
Okay. Yeah, so what I'm getting from that.
What I hear you saying
Okay,
is?
what I hear you saying is the main issue for you that made it difficult, or that situation difficult, is that me bringing up the speed you were driving made you feel like I didn't trust that, because you're the one driving. I didn't trust that maybe your capability of that, or your intention as well. Maybe I was ignoring your intention.
Safety.
Safety.
He said that I was keeping you
His
safe.
intention of keeping me safe.
Tell him.
Yeah, that I didn't acknowledge your intention to keep me safe.
Keep going.
I don't.
Okay,
That was my main point.
Okay. All right. What did that feel like for you? Tell her what that felt like. As a man and as a driver, what did that feel like for you?
I felt a little bit frustrated and just a little bit sad. And at the time, I could sort of understand where you were coming from, but it just had surprised me a little bit.
So what I hear you saying is?
So what I hear you saying is it hurt you because you were probably placing trust in me to trust you to be safe and drive well, especially since I was there. But I didn't do that. And it was hurtful, understandably.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
Okay. So talk about your driving and why that matters to you. Your sense of yourself as a driver. What does that matter to you?
I love driving. Driving gives me a sense of freedom. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be driving, and it lets me kind of, get out of my shell, so to speak, and it's where I can sometimes release a little bit of stress and frustration, but also just, be free.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying is driving is more than just a chore. It's something that helps you, like an outlet for stress, or to gain freedom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And tell her about what it matters to you as her protector. How important is that to you as her protector?
Holly, as your protector, I find that driving, and especially driving safely, is very important to me. In fact, when you are not with me, I find that my driving habits are somewhat different. But it is, I find in my, part of my enjoyment in driving is taking you from place to place safely.
Yeah, so are you saying that you do, that driving safely with me is a big part of how you view your general role of being my protector? And I do know that before this, and so I am hearing that you also maybe have a slightly different mindset if I'm not there, or a different way of driving, rather. But you do want to protect me specifically.
Okay, and there's one more piece I want you to talk about. What was it about that conversation that stung for you, that was hard for you? What was it? Did you feel inadequate? Did you feel, what was it you felt that was difficult for you?
on any ordinary road trip, I think I would have been a little bit more okay, because I don't mind having an open communication with you, and I like hearing your opinion. However, on that road trip, my younger sister was in the car and was a witness to the, maybe distrust Holly had verbalized, and
No, you had verbalized. Say it to her.
that you had verbalized, and I think that maybe made it sting a little bit more than a normal constructed conversation.
Yeah, so I hear you saying, while we have many conversations to hear each other's opinions, like you said, this time is different because there was a witness and you didn't want distrust to be apparent, or, my verbalization of distrusting your method. So it was harder on you, probably emotionally, and made it more tense.
He also, reflect this back to him too. He mentioned that under normal circumstances, he's very open to your feedback. Reflect that back to him.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that you.
No. Tell it what I hear
Yeah,
you saying.
I
You're
hear-
not this is helpful. In this role, you don't comment or editorialize. You're just reflecting. Because when you just reflect, what does it do? It goes to the heart here. You want to get your partner to the heart, you just reflect and listen. It allows them to go to the heart. So try that again.
Mm-hmm. So I hear you saying that you do like to hear my opinion most all the time when it's just us.
Okay, are we ready to let her talk now? Okay, now you understand your role.
I think so.
Okay, go ahead. Whatever you want to say.
Okay. When I looked over in the speedometer, I felt unsafe because I trust you in general and that you want to keep me safe, but I felt unsafe in this moment because of the way I was raised regarding driving and what is a safe speed to drive. And so it gave me a bit of anxiety in that moment to notice that. And so I feel like I couldn't help but bring it up even if someone else was in the car.
So what I hear you saying is that you felt a little bit, maybe even more than a little bit anxious about the position I was putting you in under my care.
Family of origin. Talk about her, reflect back what she said about her family, the way she was raised with relative safe speed.
So I hear you saying as well that the way that you were raised and knowing your father, he is very conscious of safe speeds and gentle and safe driving, and that helps me understand why you expressed that.
Now,
feeling.
again, you did good, but when you're doing this, I don't want you to interpret. You're just reflecting. Does that make sense? When you reflect, it allows your partner to go deeper. Does that make sense? And that's what you want, because you will have your chance, and then you could say whatever you want. But I have literally had couples when they focus on just reflecting, where people connect things in their mind they'd never thought of before, but they realize were there once somebody was really listening. It pulled it out of them, and it's very powerful when it happens. So that's why I just reflect the meaning of what she's saying, and then you can say more when you're reflecting back. You guys are doing great. I'm just keep going.
Okay. And I guess being who I am, this was before we got married, I was thinking ahead, okay, can I trust you driving our kids one day in the future? Or it wasn't even just about me, I guess. Just trying to think that. And not to be dramatic, since you are a safe driver, it was just a decently small thing, but still something I was like, oh, we can talk about this and try to figure it out.
So what I hear you saying is that you felt some question as to how safe my driving would be for a future marriage or possibly family.
And she also said, you are a safe driver, so reflect that back.
And what's the
I heard
phrase?
you say-
I heard you say that you understand that I am a safe driver, and I do appreciate and value your opinion.
Okay, keep going. Okay, let me ask you this. How did it feel for you when he was frustrated by what you said? What was that like for you? Tell him.
Trying to remember. This was like so many years ago.
Yeah.
I was also frustrated, so I don't think that I was like just annoyed at your frustration. I just could tell we had a different opinion, and I wanted to try to get to a resolution. So.
So what I hear you saying is that you really just wanted to resolve the conflict that we were having and make sure everybody was happy.
Because I'm a skunk.
How important is it to you when you feel feelings like you did when you're driving? How important is it to be able to vocalize those? Tell him that.
It's very important. I like to not keep anything hidden like that, because I feel like it gets dug up later in a worse way, so.
So what I hear you saying is that when there is something that needs to be communicated, you like to address it and not brush it aside for later.
And how hard would that be for you if you felt like, okay, I don't want to rock the boat, so I've got to keep quiet? How hard? Talk about how hard that would
Well,
be.
that's how I did feel, because his sister was there, so I was trying to be, very, very civil and like not bother her. She was probably doing homework or something. So I didn't want to bother her, but we have different standards of like intense conversation. Like for me, it was just normal conversation, like totally normal. We weren't actually angry, which
Tell
is
him.
I was not angry. I was literally just trying to talk. So for me, I was like, I was trying to be conscious of your sister. I wasn't trying to be embarrassed or anything.
So Holly, what I hear you saying is that you feel we have different methods or styles of communication, and that you weren't intending to cause any ill feelings on my part.
What? Let's switch back.
Yeah.
Talk about the sister, having sister there. What that felt like for you in that situation? Because you said you wouldn't have not minded normally. What made that different?
I think partially
Tell her.
Holly, I think partially what made that different. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and Marissa, the younger sister, was the one that was with us, and I know that she looks up to me as a role model, and I felt that my role as an older brother could have been degraded a little bit during that situation.
Yeah, so I hear you saying that it was especially not just your sister, but your younger sister, that you're in that older brother role, and you didn't want that to be affected negatively by our conversation that she was hearing.
Did you feel, would the word shame be too strong?
Probably a little bit.
Okay, embarrassed?
A little bit closer.
Vocalize what you felt, whatever emotion you felt. Vocalize that, given that your younger sister was here. Vocalize that.
It's difficult to vocalize that type of emotion.
Yeah.
Pastor Bill said, it was, maybe a little bit of embarrassment, but just the feeling of, I want to be my younger sister's hero, and heroes don't get in trouble for stuff. That's the best way I can put it.
So I hear you saying it wasn't necessarily embarrassment, maybe similar, but more of just like you said, you don't want the heroes to make mistakes. Whatever emotion that is, you didn't want to be defeated in that.
Mm-hmm. 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 Do you mind if I ask them for feedback?
By all means.
By the way, I really appreciate these two. You will not forget this exercise because you just watched a situation, a training with live ammunition, right? We're talking about real things. So you forgot about we were doing a training and you were listening to the story, weren't you? So what issues, do you mind if I ask them this?
Go for it.
What issues do you hear swirling around this story? What are some of the issues you hear? Talk to me. Yes.
He felt like, I think he's being scolded.
Mm-hmm. Okay. She said he felt like he was being scolded. Someone else. What are you hearing? What other issues are swirling around? Please.
Well, there are obviously two different backgrounds. I know Holly's family, and it was well portrayed there.
Yeah.
Our young gentleman here, he's probably got more of a background like mine in higher speed driving, and so you have a clash here.
So family culture can be something.
I just want to say I'm really proud of you guys because they're still in their first 2 years of marriage, and you're just up here in front of all these people learning this tool, so awesome.
Yes. This is really good because this illustrates things that are very valuable. Please.
I want to say thank you so much for doing that. My wife and I have been in that situation many times. And so we were laughing ourselves here, and it was like, that's what you should say. So thank you.
You know, we're more alike than we are different, aren't we?
I think the story itself actually shows a really good example of the fragility of a spoken word or a phrase or something passing and mentioned. Could be very off the cuff to one person, but it can be very impactful to the next person. So we might want to choose our words a little more carefully.
Right. And the thing about it is it valid for Holly to express when she feels unsafe? Is that valid? Is it valid for Marcus to want that expressed carefully? So they're both right, are they? Did you have a hand? Yes.
So my take on this is Marcus is feeling like his authority over his younger sister and as a protector for Holly is being undermined in this conversation with his sister in the back seat. And albeit Holly's concern is also for safety.
Yeah. Very, very valid. And the thing about it is that, remember the biblical principle, Ephesians 5:21, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. So what that means is we work together as a team. What happens is it's so easy to be adversaries in this kind of situation. What I find so valuable about this kind of listening tool is that working together as a team, it enables you to do that because both points of view get understood. The biblical text we read, he who answers before listening, it is folly and it's shame. A fool does not delight in understanding, but airing his own opinions. And so when we both listen to each other, it enables us to both be heard. And I got to say one more thing. Intimacy. The best definition I've ever heard for intimacy is intimacy. It's letting someone understand our hearts and what we think and what we drive. You learned something, Holly, that he is sensitive about how he is perceived by his younger sister. That is an important issue. So what we had is a situation where there were some deeply held things that were kind of in conflict, and yet both of your points of view were valid. And so what was it like for you using this tool to process that a little bit? What was it like?
I think it was valuable. I learned some things about this situation, about how Holly felt just now, and this situation happened maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was it like for you, Holly?
It was good. I was also trying to stretch my memory to remember, but it was still good, and I feel like it can be used in the future easier since we tried it out. We do have to shout out his younger sister's the one that suggested this topic because we couldn't think of something, and she remembered it.
Tell her I owe her one.
She'll probably watch it.
But now you can actually sit down next time you're with her and have a conversation, and this could be a learning thing for her too. Because here's the thing. Do you notice both of them were pretty vulnerable? But with vulnerability comes what? Understanding. If we just do this and go in our corner and not share in a vulnerable way, the other person doesn't really know, because did you sense that both of them had empathy for what each other were feeling and thinking? Good practice of good tools can make a huge difference. And so I would encourage you, the two of you, to go, whatever it is, find an object that is your, whatever it is. In my office, I forgot to bring one, I have some heart-shaped polished stones. That's what I use if you were in my office. And what that does, one of you can bring it out and say, hey, can we have a conversation? Now, here's the times where you want to use this tool. When you have a quarrel where it keeps coming back up, you know those kind of conversations that keep coming up? That tells you there's some unresolved stuff there you want to process. Or a situation where you're maybe worried that you're going to say something you might regret, that it's a bad quarrel, like the couple where they were really upset and they wanted to get back in sync. Then using this tool can be very, very, very helpful. So here's what I always end, because sometimes when you do this exercise, you have to say some honest things, and honesty is good, but it can hurt sometimes, can it? It can sting a little bit sometimes. You're holding a mic, but I want you to, with one free hand, reach out and hold hands. Starting with you, I want you to say 7 things you love and appreciate and enjoy about this wonderful lady, and then we'll do you. 7 things you value, love, and appreciate about this fine man.
Number 1, I appreciate that you value bringing Jesus into our home. Number 2, I value that your dedication to your job and your students, and spending oftentimes much more time at the school than you do at home. Number 3, I value that you're a beautiful young lady. And number 4, I value your cooking skills, which go directly from the stomach to the heart. Number 5, I value your care for our cat Marbles, and the kind of care that you give to him is a good example of, I think, how you will care for our future family. What am I on, number 6 now? Number 6. Number 6, I really value your dedication to not just your family, but my family as well. Whenever we get together, you make sure that everybody's included. Every week we have a family call, and you're always on there talking with them and getting to know them better. And I find that really, really valuable. And number 7, I think the thing that I value the most about you is that you don't want to stay here on this earth, and everything that you do here is something that's saving up for a better place.
This is like, I'm pretty sure this is, are we sure these aren't like his wedding vows? I'm pretty sure they were.
Beautiful, he did well.
I know, I'm like, well, I don't know what to say. Yeah, there's one thing I appreciate about you, that you're so, that you take so much interest in who I am and appreciate it, and getting to know me. I haven't always felt like, I can feel like I can be really authentic, and I really value how you're always praying for me and being a spiritual leader in our home. And I really valued your work ethic. I mean, from all the reports I hear from your supervisors or patients, that you're just showing Jesus to them in how your care for them. And I know, like, I also get to experience that same thing, so I know that's who you are, not just in our home, not just with me, but like with everyone you interact with, so that's a huge thing. And just the way that you're always willing to listen to me, and even if it's like, even in the more tense situations, you're willing to listen and work through things. I appreciate also how much you love my family too, and you're very comfortable with them, and that we do have 2 families that came together with our marriage as well. I'm not counting right now, so okay. Oh no, I love your spontaneity. That's one of the first things that brought us together, I think, is like, I was attracted to how you don't mind doing adventurous stuff, and I need some usually encouragement for that. So we've had a lot of fun memories because of that. And yeah, just how careful you are to protect my heart, even if we have a difference or something, that you're willing to like always make sure that I still feel loved no matter what stressful thing we're going through or have to work through. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Amazing young couple, right? I hope you realize they just gave you a gift, because you got to watch a genuine, heartfelt conversation, and that was a gift to all of us. How many of you could identify with some of the things going on in that conversation? I sure could, and so I really encourage people to use tools, and that's a really, really valuable tool. We all want to be understood. We all want to be really listened to and taken seriously. And here's the last thing I'll say. Physical intimacy is directly connected to emotional connection. So when you connect and talk and understand like that, that is what fuels solid, biblical, physical intimacy as well. And the enemy just wants to pull us apart, and he wants to disconnect us from our hearts. Be in your heart. Be in your heart. Learn to live from your heart. Express your heart. Take it slow if you need to. It's totally fine. I came from a family that did not connect to the heart. But life is too slow, is too short to live disconnected from your heart. Remember what the scripture says. For those who revere my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its wings, and you will go out and leap, frolic like calves released from the stall. Joyfulness and playfulness and, like you said, Holly, spontaneity, that's what God wants for us. I would love to stay around and visit more. I've got to run to the airport and catch a flight to go to a funeral. I have had so much fun getting to be with you. I'm going to ask Erica if she'll come up and pray the closing prayer, because I have to actually run. Wonderful spending time with you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Bill. We've switched the refreshments to the foyer, so I'm not sure if they're ready, to be honest, but we'll check on that. They are? Okay. All right, let's pray. Thank you so much, Lord, for the sunshine and for Sabbath we were able to spend loving and learning our relationships better through these tools. Please be with Pastor Bill. Keep him safe as he travels. Take us home into our new weeks. We love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.